Greetings, fellow merchants. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Farthest Frontier 1.0. Episode 4, Investing in Trade. And we're about a little over a third done with the fencing for the farm. And as long as we're not actually planting physical crops that it won't be eaten by animals. So the next task it tasks me with is to build a school. And a school helps to educate your workers, and educated workers work faster and more efficiently. So that is in services. To build a school, we would need to invest clay, which I don't have, and also gold. So let's talk about what we immediately need. We need a trade post. I'm going to build a trade post up on the hill because trade posts can often have gold in them, which means you don't want a trade post that can't be protected. And it's going to be protected by being next to the town center up here. Plus, it was one of my goals. So updating that priority there. Trade post and farming is the current priority. We also just generated another knowledge. So with this new knowledge, let's get forging. Because once we have an iron mine and a coal mine, we want to forge the iron and coal together to make ingots, which is what forging is. And then after forging, we also want smithing to be able to make our own tools. So that's going to be the next knowledge point. That way, we don't have to keep buying tools, which are rather expensive. Rachala,
what is it?
How many arrows do you have? 28? All right, I'm going to have Rachala do a little exploration for me, looking for iron. Because we have a little over half a year of food. So it's not like I need her hunting, and because she's a hunter, she's able to defend herself a little bit more than the average villager. Ooh, a relic site, and that's a raider camp. So don't want to go near there at all. That's dangerous. And here we go. Crop assignment for the other farm is again just going to be work. So at this point, I should only have 4 farmers, not 7. Where are they getting 7 from? Oh, 7 are from this farm in progress. Yeah, let's delete that. So now I should have 4 farmers. Correct. So I'm going to build one more farm up in this corner here. There we go. Alright, come on, Rachala, find me some iron. There's another salvage site. Now, I know that there was, like, wolves down this way, so I'm going to be... predators attacking who? Jadra out on the fields, so... Madrin, go
what
intercept.
Needs doing?
You... get to the town hall. You 3... go intercept. Try not to lose another villager.
Work to be done.
Intercept. There we go. No one died. And now I'm going to eject the garrisoned villagers. That was a little close. So lots of hunting out this way. There's like... Oh, and there's the boar den. So I'm going to turn back. Okay, so we'll look for iron out this way then. So lots of hunting potential if I run this road west, which is good to know. So you ask, does elevation matter? It does, yes. The higher the elevation, the more your damage potential. So if you take a look at like a tower shooting from here on an enemy down there gets a big bonus. These numbers here are bonuses. So on flatland, as you can see, the bonuses are like 3 or 4 for damage and range. And up top, as you can see, it's much, much, much higher. So I built my town center in the top here so that when raiders are coming to me, I get massive ranged bonuses as they approach. It's not a big deal. You don't need to build on a hill. It's just my map tile had a hill, so I'm using it. So Rachala here is looking for a iron mine. Now it's there we go, iron ore, found it. So I can turn back and start hunting again. So we've got coal here, iron here, and oh, that's really bad roads. Let me fix that. Luckily, dirt roads are free, so I can just repaint them. I am going to build a fence gate here to go out to this iron mine. Okay, maybe not there. For whatever reason it wants. Gate there. And then also, it wouldn't hurt to maybe have a gate here as well to allow for a road to come in. So that we have a pretty short, roughly the shortest path possible to get to the iron. And then we'll do the same for, I'm going to do the same for clay, sand, and coal. So we'll have a path out this way, and then we'll have like a production center around here for sand, clay, coal. Meaning we're likely going to want a watchout tower here because it's pretty far away from our town center, and potentially a watchtower around here to protect people that work in this area, and also potentially even having a road between the two. Maybe I'll do it once this road's done. So that we can have houses and a market center in between. So instead of having 2 separate watchtowers, have a center watchtower where the people are protected around here. This will make a lot more sense once it's done. So you don't have to like use your mind's eye to visualize. We are 1 plank away from having the trade post built. Awesome. So I got somewhat lucky that there were strategic resources close to the heart of my center. Because sometimes, like, you'll have iron, like, the only iron mine that isn't deep, like, way out in the corner, and that sucks. And at that point, you're probably just going to want to import it from traders rather than to produce it yourself because of how inconveniently far it is to get to. Oh, there goes my saw pit. Luckily, I have a well nearly adjacent, so it should be pretty easy to put out. Yep, it's fine. One of my hunters got cholera. That sucks. It was not Rachala, though. It was the other one. It was, Mordren, whatever his name was. Alright, once the trade center's built, the next thing I'm going to want is a wagon shop. Not really because I need a wagon shop, but because it is the requirement to be able to make a clay pit and a sand pit. So as you can see, it says Tier 2 Town Center and a wagon shop. The wagon shop is just a way to move a lot of resources quickly. I'm also, I'll explain the trading post once we have a trade opportunity. I'm not even going to have a worker working in it until we actually have a trade opportunity. So, next priority is build a build farms, a wagon shop, and clay sand pits. The clay pit is probably more important than the sand pit because a lot of the buildings that we want, like an arborist, for instance, requires raw clay to be able to build. It'd also be good at some point to get a soap shop, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So, wagon shop. The wagon shop is a workshop where transport wagons are manufactured. Wagons can be used by villagers to efficiently transport goods from mine pits and work camps to town storage. So it's going to be ideal to have it pretty close to our main storehouses. So I'll put it right there. And we're almost done with this farm field setup. So here, as you can see, as we are working the farm fields, we've had 2 rotations of de-weeding and de-rocking. So our weed levels went from like 89% to 36%. And after this next cycle, next year, we should start being able to plant crops that don't get like horrible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a planting peas in the spring, clovers in the autumn, and then working the land, or clovers in the summer, and then working the land in the autumn. And then the next cycle, on year 3, we'll do cabbage in the middle and clovers in the spring. Like that. Have it be offset. And what you're aiming to do is to have a 3-year cycle that has either neutral or net positive fertility and enough land maintenance to make sure that weeds and rockiness, generally rockiness won't creep up. Once you remove the rocks, they're gone, but so that you can maintain your weeds. So at the end of this year, I will redo the year 1, which will then become year 3, and to try to work it so that, whoa, a bunch of traders, to try to work it so that we have a net positive fertility over a 3-year cycle. That's the most important thing to do, is net positive fertility, because if you don't, your farm fields will get more infertile over time, and you'll have less yield over time until you basically starve. So net fertility is the big deal. So right now, the fertility is a +1 for peas, a +3, totaling 4 for clovers. So this year is a +4, and then this year here is a +3. So let's say +7, and then this cabbage is a -4. So right now, this entire 4-year cycle, or 3-year cycle, is a +3 in fertility. So if on my year 1, I make clovers and leeks, that would be a net neutral, for instance. All right, merchants. I'll put a worker in there. So here's how to read this. The top stuff here is stuff I can sell to Atka of the Iron Clan. She has a relic, which I'm not going to worry about just yet because I don't have a temple. And then down here is what she can sell me. So she can sell smoked fish, tools, weapons, iron, hauberks, and crude weapons. And then these arrows indicate whether it's a good deal or not. So a 2 green arrows up is far above average price. So I can buy smoked fish from her, for instance, but like at terrible price. So what we want to be doing is selling her stuff like pelts, which we have a lot of. And in order to do that, we hit transfer, and we'll transfer, let's say, 34 pelts from our town storage to our trade post. And then once Ingrid here grabs the 34 pelts, we can sell that to her at 6 a pelt. You want to do this in big batches, because if you do it piecemeal, the buy price will lower. As her supply increases, the buy price lowers. All right, and then Trader 2, which is Ander Plainstrider, wants to buy nothing we have in stock. Literally nothing. Wants to sell us pelts, but he will sell us pelts at 9 a pelt, and we're selling pelts at 6 a pelt because he has terrible prices for pelts. He will sell us hide coats at cheap, but I'm going to start making my own hide coats and shoes in just a second. So there's nothing really I want to buy from him. So the only trade that we're going to queue up here is selling 34 pelts to Atka. Speaking of shoes and clothing, let's go ahead and get our tannery. So tannery is a very ugly building, as you can see. We get a tannery, plop it here, and a cobbler. Where's the cobbler? Cobbler. So that we can start making clothing, because I had failed to do that. Yeah, we're out of clothing and shoes. All right, we're selling to Atka, and there we go. 34 hides have been stocked by Ingrid. So I click the sell. I can either drag it to all 34 or click this button to instantly do max sell items. And now we have 204 gold sitting inside our trade post, which then I can transfer back to the town storage. So I have my town storage, my trade post, and my storage for gold adjacent to one another, so it's really quick to move goods between them. And at this point, now I have 312 gold sitting in my town storage, which I can use to build a school. What I want to do is maybe put the school so that it is really out of the way, but covers the houses down here. So I'm going to put it like here, maybe? I can always move it later on. And the school is going to require the gold and wood, but also clay, which we'll be able to make once we get the wagon shop, and then a clay pit. So it's all sort of coming together. Oh, villager died. How? To cholera, I think? Yeah, Martin died to cholera. The third field just got ready, and we're just going to be working that field until it's until we can do planting. So what I'm going to do is next year I'm going to mimic the year 3 of this field as year 2 on this field, which means clover and then cabbage. Right? So we have clover cabbage year 3, clover cabbage year 2. And the idea is to have 3 different fields that all have the same rotation schedule that are offset. So that every year I'm making cabbage at one of the 3 fields, every year I'm making peas at one of the 3 fields, and every year I'm making leeks or whatever third crop we decide on at one of the 3 fields. Which means this field is going to have the pea cycle. So it's going to have peas, clovers, work. So peas, clovers, work. The other thing is the workers will physically go to the fields when it's time. So if you offset things like this, like I could set it up like this, but this means that at both fields, they're going to want to be planting clovers and peas at the same time, which means they have to split the difference. So in order to avoid idleness, you can offset the grow cycles so that it's less sudden stress on the farmers to get all the work done all at once. So that's another tactic you can use, is to just schedule things out so that they don't overlap as much. Samara, thank you for the sub. Cheers. we'll need a bit of time to be able to build all the roads out to the sand, coal, clay, and iron. Is there anything we reasonably want to sell to these guys? Probably not. I don't really have anything else to sell them. One thing I realize we're going to need once we start manufacturing soap is I need herbs. So let's go to the forager and figure out where the hell herbs even grow. That might be a bottleneck that we can't solve other than import. Because sometimes, depending on map generation, you just can't really forage for everything that you might want. And I don't see that we have herbs anywhere. So it might be on the other side of the pond. I might go looking for it. But like, as far as I could tell, if we want to start making soap, we need to buy herbs from someone that arrives. So the idea is to stock something that we can make that has a high sale price, like let's say clothing or flour or something like that, and then be able to buy the herbs that we need. You can also request. So I can tell, like, let's say I can tell Ander, because he is selling herbs right now, I can request herbs to be brought by him next time he arrives, but it's going to be at a price gouging levels. Because he's selling herbs right now, I'm going to move some of my money from town storage, because I need 125 gold at town storage, into my trade post, and I'm going to buy as many herbs as I can afford with the gold I just moved. Just so that I can make some soap, which is going to be important for keeping disease rate down. Come on, Ingrid. Yeah, here she goes. So here's Ingrid grabbing gold from the trade post, or from the stockhouse, putting it in the trade post, and now I can actually buy. So once you buy goods, you can go max. So in this case, it's 33. And you can either keep it within the trading post or stock it within town storage. So I'm going to stock it. And then I'll move one, or whatever remaining gold that I have, back into storage. Which was literally just one. The fences here are almost done. Although I am getting warned that I have no more logs. Not a big concern, but it does mean that I'm not going to be able to make more firewood or wood planks until we get more logs. I have plenty of trees queued up to be harvested around the map, so it's not a lack of harvesting orders, it's just a lack of laborers having the free time to do it. It looks to me like next year I'm going to spend the entire time de-weeding this third field. And then let's decide on year 3 the third crop that we want. So if we did beans, it's almost good soil mixture. I think leeks were like the best, but it's also terrible on fertility. So is there a third option? You know, we could do flax. Oh, wow. It's terrible soil fertility for that. The root vegetables were bad. So yeah, it could be leeks. So leeks are high frost and heat tolerant, but not good for droughts. So maybe we'll do a clover and leek cycle on third year. Which means if we did that, let's calculate our total 3-year fertility. If we did something like that. And in this case, yeah, okay. The other thing is, when you consider the 3-year cycle, one of the farms is going to have peas in the spring, and then this farm will have cabbage around autumn, and then this farm will have leeks around winter, because that's the harvest period. So the year over year, we have this year here is +3, -6. This is a -3. This is +4. And this is -1. So we do have positive fertility year over year with this crop cycle. in other words. So we have found what we want to do. So this is leek, pea, cabbage, pea. So I think leeks top. So next year on this field, we need to do leeks in the middle. So that's clovers, leeks. And then the top one will be the cabbage cycle. So that's, what's the cabbage cycle? Clovers, cabbage. That. And then the third field will be adjusted once it's been de-weeded a bit. But this has leeks top, cabbage top, so this will be peas once this cycles back around. So that's clovers, work, peas, I think? Or no, peas, clovers, work. Right? Peas, clovers, work. Yep. There. So we've established 3 fields with a offset crop cycle for all of them. That all have the correct soil mix of sand and clay, and all have a net positive fertility. Alright, here's the cobbler shop, making shoes out of hides. And the tannery just needs some logs. The wagon needs a bunch of planks, but they'll get there. And this is the traders departing for the year. So the traders hang out during the summer months, and then they just like leave. So you only get a few trade opportunities per year. Martin's died, and he dropped so much crap on the ground that hasn't been collected yet. It will be collected if we just wait, but it's kind of funny. That's a laborer's job, and we just have a poor labor pool, which is why it's just on the ground for now. All right, another thing we can add to here is apiaries. There's a bit of a disadvantage from them overlapping. But they can overlap a little bit, so I'll just put 2 apiaries there for now. Honey and wax are pretty good exports. You make more money if you export beer or candles, which is the produced good out of honey and wax, but even just honey and wax can help to bolster our economy a bit. Let's prioritize the tannery build, because clothing helps to keep us not dying in the winter. And I'll just dump my storage cart on the hill. It's not even being... I had initially parked it here because it had wood in it, and I was using that wood to build the fences, but now the storage cart, I guess it could go up here, is empty. Once we start to get farming going, one thing you'll notice is we will have an insane amount of food spoilage. Because we don't have a good root cellar or glassworks for food preserves or cooper for barrels or anything like that, probably half of the food we grow will be spoiled. And that's, like, unfortunately normal. And that's fine. As long as we have food. It's more important to have the food, even if it gets spoiled, than to starve. Alright, so now everyone's leaving home, and hopefully those laborers will be able to cut down some trees for us, because that's the biggest bottleneck at the moment. And let's go and fire our trader until we get another trade opportunity. Once we have a larger settlement, I'll probably have just a full-time trader, so I don't have to micromanage it. But because we only have 40 people and only 20 or so people in the workforce, every person put to labor helps. With that said, our firewood splitter almost has split enough wood to be done for a while, because we have almost hit our quota. Our quota is 400 and we have like 368 stocked. So at this point, I would say we've built the farms. We need to build a wagon, shop, clay and sand pits, and school. That's what we're actively working towards. And I'm going to forbid the school site until we actually have the clay for it, because there's really no point in earmarking the planks when it can't be finished. So you can see the food production and food consumption basically equal out. And when you factor in spoiling, that's like almost net negative. So it's a good thing that we have now established a pea farm and a leek farm so that we can start supplying greens. It's important to note that there are essentially 5 different food types, ignoring luxury: protein, grains, vegetable, fruit, and dairy. And at the moment, in order to advance, we need to be supplying at least 2 food types. So these are vegetables, and our fruit are, so between the farm fields and the hunter and fish, that's fruit and protein. And occasionally we will also have fruit from our foragers, but we don't have a reliable source of fruit. And we aren't supplying grain or dairy at all. All right, we did just unlock another point, and this is going to be to smithing. So now we have all of the research that we need to start working the iron and coal mines, and then turning that into ingots, and then turning the ingots into tools. So what we need at this point is the capital investment to be able to make that happen, which will make sense once I have all the roads and infrastructure built for it. Which is taking its sweet time. All right, another traveling merchant, Scorv the Butcher. So, there's really nothing I want to sell Scorv, unfortunately. And there's basically nothing I want to buy from Scorv. So, not trading with Scorv. I would like to start working towards stockpiling goods that we can sell to these traders, so we actually have some decent capital income. We're not quite there yet. And produced goods obviously make you a lot more money than raw. Alright, another research point. One thing we could do is start to work towards grain crops. There is some advantage in getting grain early on, and it is that cereal grains that aren't processed into flour and baked into bread will last a long time in your stockpile. That way you can have reliable food stores that can last you in harsher winters and last through droughts and famine and the like. So that's a pretty useful tool that you can use at your disposal. It would mean needing to fire up potentially 3 new farm plots, but once our vegetable farms start providing a lot of the nutritional needs for our villagers, we can consider moving up to grains. So the tannery's done. And now it's just a matter of getting the wagon shop built. Once the wagon shop gets built, I don't even think I'm necessarily going to even employ anyone in the wagon shop. I'm just building it so that I can unlock clay. So we've got a deep mine of clay here that I won't be able to tap. We have a clay mine here and a clay mine here. And I'm going to get the clay from this spot. This 1788 clay. We're also almost done with the fences. Now, deer will wander in from local zones to eat your crop, but they are scared off by farmers working the fields. So as long as you have farmers actively working the fields, it will drive them away. And here is Anders again. Again, there's really nothing I want to sell to Anders. So I'm going to not have a tradesperson working in there. One thing that we could do is we could prioritize salvaging these remnant sediments, because these salvage sites can have pretty valuable resources in them. So I'm going to put one of them as a prioritized target. Uh-oh. Man, whoever works as in this... this hunter cabin is like cursed. It's the second time we've had a person die due to like cholera from that hunter cabin. Worserts, thank you for the resub. So I think 3 more fences and we'll be... Oh, and a gate. And we'll be deer proof in this zone. Crusty Rhino, thank you for the resub too. Dehydration, huh?
Need something?
Okay. If we have dehydration up here, that's pretty easy to solve. We'll just build a well up here so that they can fulfill their water needs without having to travel really far away. So if you take a look at our food stores, our pea harvest happened, and we got 362... No, that's not true. We got 262 peas off of that. It also caused a disease in the farm field, which disappeared immediately. Okay. Basically, there are random diseases that your crops can get afflicted by, and one of the other reasons to rotate your crops is so that those diseases can't persist season after season. So, for instance, I'm just going to make a disease up. Let's say there's a leaf disease that affects leafy crops, like leeks and cabbage. If you have a year that you don't have leafy crops, that disease will die and go away. So if you keep planting the same types of things over and over and over, you become more susceptible to disease, but if you rotate it, it's less of an issue. So there was a brief period that like we had some sort of green or some pea disease here, but then it got phased out almost immediately. All right, wagon shop is turned off because I don't need wagons. But the act of having a wagon shop means that we can have a clay pit. And you have to build clay pits on the nodes themselves. So we're building clay pit here. So the goal is now to build clay and sand pits. Clay is going to be more important because clay is required for the school site. All right, clothing and shoes. So let's set limits. 50 to 100 shoes. 50 to 100 hide coats. We just hit the limit of firewood, which means the firewood splitter is now working somewhere else, which is good. And those are the only limits I want to set right now. Because we're not making tools, we're not making weapons. Ooh, we are salvaging this site. Nice. So Chloe here is salvaging these goods. And Those salvage sites are really helpful early game when you're like resource poor and just straight up poor. It looks like my laborers are now building the road systems, and these road systems will actually help my hunter hunt because they lead to the hunting grounds, which is kind of nice. Oh, there we go. There's the last road. So we wanted these roads to connect. And then the plan is to build like a little market village here to support the workers that work in these resource industries. Thank you for tuning in to Farthest Frontier 1.0, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, fellow frontiersmen.